Throughout history, people have invented terrible ways to punish and kill. Yet some methods are so extreme that even historians wonder if they truly existed. One of the most horrifying examples is Scaphism, sometimes called the boats. According to ancient sources, it was an execution designed to turn a person into a living feast for insects. Whether or not it was ever really used, Scaphism remains one of the most shocking stories of cruelty in the ancient world. What exactly was Scaphism? Scaphism was described as a method of execution where a victim was trapped between two wooden boats. The condemned person lay in one boat, while the second was placed over their body. Only the head, hands, and feet stuck out, leaving the rest sealed inside. This confinement alone would have been terrifying, but the true horror came next. The executioners forced the person to swallow large amounts of milk and honey, which caused severe diarrhea. Then they smeared more milk and honey over the exposed parts of the body. Left under the hot sun, the victim's skin became covered in flies, wasps, and other insects. Over time, the insects not only tormented the person on the outside, but also crawled into the boats to lay eggs in the filth, eventually consuming the flesh. According to some reports, death could take many days of agony. Where did the story of Scaphism come from? Most of what we know about Scaphism comes from Plutarch, a Greek historian writing about the Persian king Artaxerxes II. Plutarch claimed that the punishment was used on a soldier named Mithridates, who had taken credit for killing the king's brother. As the story goes, Mithridates was sentenced to die in the boats. He reportedly survived for 17 days, slowly rotting alive. Later, other writers like Joannes Zonaras repeated the story, describing the same process of forced feeding, insect infestation, and decay. But Plutarch wrote his account centuries after the supposed event, and he based much of it on sources like Ctesias, a Greek physician known for exaggerating. Because there is no direct evidence from Persian records, historians still debate whether Scaphism was fact or legend. How was Scaphism supposedly carried out? Descriptions of Scaphism all share similar details about its methodical cruelty. First, the executioners prepared two wooden boats, or hollowed-out tree trunks, so they fit closely together, with holes cut to leave the victim's head, hands, and feet sticking out. The condemned person was laid on their back in the bottom boat and tied tightly so they could not move. The upper boat was placed on top and secured firmly, trapping the body inside a dark, airless space where they could barely breathe or shift position. Next came the forced feeding. Large amounts of milk and honey were poured into the person's mouth until they became bloated and sick. This mixture was chosen because it caused severe diarrhea, ensuring that excrement would build up inside the boats over time. Afterward, the guards coated the exposed skin, especially the face, hands, and feet, with more milk and honey to attract insects. The boats were then left under the hot sun. The sweet, sticky covering quickly brought clouds of flies, wasps, and beetles, which crawled over the skin, into the eyes, nostrils, and ears, and laid eggs in every opening. Each day, executioners returned to force more food and reapply the mixture, keeping a constant flow of insects and preventing the victim from dying too quickly. Inside the boats, the waste began to ferment and rot, creating an unbearable smell and a breeding ground for maggots and worms. Over many days, the condemned person remained conscious as insects gradually devoured their flesh. The combination of starvation, infection, suffocation, and the terror of being eaten alive was designed to break the body and the spirit completely, making Scaphism one of history's most horrifying punishments. Why was Scaphism considered so cruel? Scaphism was designed to inflict both physical suffering and psychological torture. Unlike a quick execution by beheading or hanging, this method dragged death out over days or even weeks. The forced feeding caused nausea and diarrhea, while the constant insect attacks created unending pain and humiliation. For the condemned, every hour was filled with the knowledge that their body was being consumed little by little. To ancient observers, the horror of Scaphism lay not only in the pain, but in the loss of dignity. Being eaten alive by vermin was considered one of the most shameful fates imaginable. Is there any proof that Scaphism really happened? The biggest challenge in studying Scaphism is the lack of reliable evidence. Plutarch's account is detailed but second-hand, and later writers simply copied or expanded on it. The main source behind the story, Ctesias, has a reputation for telling exaggerated tales. Some scholars believe Scaphism might have been a Greek invention meant to show Persians as barbaric. Others argue it could have been used in rare cases, but never became an established practice. Without Persian records confirming the method, historians cannot say for sure whether it was real or just a powerful story repeated over centuries. How does Scaphism compare to other ancient punishments? Many ancient civilizations used slow and painful executions. The Romans practiced crucifixion, which could take days. In ancient China, some prisoners faced lynching, or death by 1,000 cuts. What makes Scaphism unique is its combination of confinement, forced feeding, and exposure to insects. Unlike whipping or burning, Scaphism did not rely on weapons or flames. Instead, it used nature itself, heat, rot, and swarming creatures, to destroy a person from the outside and the inside. This method blurred the line between punishment and torture, making it one of the most extreme examples in recorded history. How has Scaphism appeared in culture and fiction? The gruesome idea of Scaphism has inspired many writers over the centuries. Shakespeare's The Winter's Tale mentions a similar punishment involving honey and wasps. In modern times, Scaphism has been featured in novels like The Ancient Allen by H. Rider Haggard, and in TV shows such as Instinct and Inside No. 9. Even when presented as fiction, the story of Scaphism fascinates and horrifies audiences because it pushes the imagination to its limits. The combination of helplessness, decay, and insects is so disturbing that it continues to appear in books, games, and movies, exploring the darkest corners of human cruelty. What does the story of Scaphism teach us? Whether real or invented, Scaphism is a reminder of how far humans have gone to punish and control others. It shows that in some societies, creating fear was just as important as delivering justice. Studying these extreme punishments helps us see why modern legal systems have turned away from torture. They also remind us that cruelty often grows when people lose sight of empathy and dignity. By questioning stories like Scaphism, historians encourage us to look for truth and to understand how myths and facts can become entangled over time. Scaphism may never have happened exactly as the stories describe, but it stands as a symbol of punishment without mercy. Whether fact or legend, it shows how fear can be used as a weapon, leaving scars not just on the body, but on the memory of a culture. What do you think about Scaphism? Was it a real practice, or just a terrifying tale? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you'd like to learn more about punishment worldwide and throughout the ages, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos.